Welcome to Hodgepodge of Conversation. I'm your host, Mia Inez Hayes.
Hi, I'm Dr. Han, teaching professor of English at UT.
And I am a theater and English literature student in my senior year at UT. And welcome to our show. Yay!
Yay! So Hodgepodge of Conversation is a podcast brought to you by the Department of English, encouraging you to become an English major. Hodgepodge of Conversation takes an irreverent and quirky look at how we human beings, I don't know about you, most like to communicate, whether it's through words, song lyrics, insults, Gen Z slang.
All kinds of media. Everything.
Yeah.
Everything under the sun that's words involved.
Yeah. As the title of our podcast suggests, our range of subject titles is a hodgepodge, which is a jumble, a mixture, and it also riffs on the name of our studio in Hodge's Library, this glorious room.
What a great place. The lighting is so good. It looks so awesome.
We're not asking for help.
The lighting is perfect. I actually want to be only lit on this side of my face. I actually really like that.
And also, Hodgepodge is it's homage to my late cat Hodge, who was an awesome cat. He was an orange cat. He was named after Samuel Johnson's cat in the 18th century. Samuel Johnson was quoted as saying his cat Hodge was a fine cat indeed. And to this day, there's a statue of Hodge outside of his historic apartment, which I think is super cool and nerdy. But most importantly, Hodgepodge is fun to say.
Yeah, it
right?
is.
Hodgepodge.
And it's a better name than any of the ones that I tried to come
No,
up with.
those
They
are
were bad.
good.
They were
pretty awful.
They were bad.
Yeah. So our style, as you can tell, is obviously conversational, right? Comical, silly.
Very relaxed,
Yeah.
casual,
Yeah.
not serious at all.
No, never,
No.
never. In fact, if it does get serious, I don't know what happens. I think you just
I think we blow up. No, dude. I think we explode.
Did we tell the Hodges people that this is going to happen? We shouldn't. That's not explosives.
That's none
not
of their business.
That's fine.
That's
We're
none.
good. We're
Yeah.
good. So the format of the show, it's going to be loosely an hour and a half. We will typically feature a guest, a major topic, such as we can have like guests where we interview the Department of English faculty there, or the faculty in the Department of Theater, or even just outside that. We're thinking about asking athletes and having them come aboard, or just maybe even undergrads. So, but by and large, this podcast is designed for our undergraduate population. That is, we're giving information to our undergrads to get them excited about the course, to be here at UT, and just, hopefully they vibe with this. Did I use that right? Vibe?
Yes,
Okay.
vibe. That was a good one. Yeah.
So we'll also have little gimmicks here and there, like a word of the day. This is a communications podcast funded by English, so we got to, get our vocab up.
Technically, we have to teach you something.
Yeah.
Like one thing per episode.
Just
probably.
one thing. The other thing could be top 5 lists, random cat dog facts, a fantasy draft for Austin characters, or something we like to call OK Boomer.
Okay, boomer.
I'm the boomer.
Where I make fun of Dr. Han for not knowing anything about pop culture. That'll come up in later episodes. I'm gonna put you through it.
Okay.
I'm gonna put you through it. But I'm excited for that.
Okay.
That will be fun for everyone. So to start off the episode, today we're gonna talk about the rise of the novel, which is a very, very important and huge sect of literature history. It's affected us a lot in the modern day. There's not really a lot of nonfiction as much, I feel like, as there was in the past. But I don't know anything, and Dr. Han knows everything about the novel. I do know, however, my top 5. So we're going to start with listing our top 5 novels. We'll go in order of 5 to 1. I'll do my first, which will be 5. You'll go 5, 4 and 4, 3 and 3, 2 and 2. And then we're going to judge each other. We're going to make fun of each other.
I hate you. Okay.
Right. Okay, so my number 5 is The Things They Carried by Tim O'Brien.
My number 5 is East of Eden by John Steinbeck.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a very good one. I read that in the same class that I read The Things They Carried in.
Oh,
It was
okay.
really good. I actually didn't do any of my assignments for The Things They Carried, and then I had to make it up at the end of the year, and I was like, this is actually pretty gas.
The things that you BS'd.
The things that I BS. The things that I put off until the very last minute. My number 4 is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller.
My number 4 is Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the first one.
That one is so good. That's so good. Your choices are better than mine.
And remind me to
You're
tell you.
so much better.
Remind me to tell you the time I almost met Douglas Adams later.
Yeah, we'll have to get into that. My number 3, hey, you guessed it, Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen.
Okay.
Sue me.
My number 3 is Moll Flanders by Daniel Defoe. Moll Flanders. It was published in 1749. It was long, and I like it.
All right, period. We read Robinson Crusoe in a class
You
I had
loved it.
with Dr. Hahn, and it was
You loved it.
very long. It was interesting. My number 2 is The Mark of Athena by Rick Riordan, which is number 3 in the Heroes of Olympus series, which is the sequel series to Percy Jackson.
My number 3 is Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen.
Really?
Yeah.
That one's so good. I'm a big fan of that one. My number 1, this is annoying and pretentious because I'm a theater kid, but it's If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio, and it follows, you should read it. If you've never read it, you should read it.
Okay.
It's so good. It follows like a troupe of actors, and they go to this really pretentious university. Very intense. They do like a production of Macbeth. We're not in a theater, so I can say that. That's a rule.
It's a rule?
Oh my God, that's
Why
a
is that a rule?
Girl, okay. Learning time. If you're a theater person,
Okay.
like an actor,
Yeah,
and you're inside of a physical theater making space, you cannot say Macbeth. It's like, it's bad juju.
Is it like this superstition?
Yes.
Like,
things will go wrong. Like, things will go really wrong. It's happened before at the Clarence Brown. I've seen it.
That's super weird. It's like weird karmic OCD for your department.
Well, yeah, you have to. Okay, it's all theater people. It's not just the department. But you have to, like, leave the theater, spin around your shoulder, like, spin over your shoulder, and then you have to be let back in. Laura Snyder actually did that, our very first rehearsal of A Christmas Carol when we were in the theater. And I had to let her back in.
Yeah, you guys are all weird.
We're insane. We're crazy.
Yeah.
You also can't whistle. And I did yell at Jed Diamond because he was whistling once. I didn't know it was him. He's the guy who does Scrooge, and I didn't know him very well, so that was really
What happens if you whistle?
bad things.
Like what's
happen.
like the hierarchy of like punishments? Is like 1 like just or like
Saying-
5 is someone breaks a leg literally? Someone like forgets their line.
I would say
someone dies.
Injury is not as common as like technical difficulties are. So like when we did Knoxville at the musical, you should listen to it. When we did Knoxville at the Clarence Brown, our actor who was playing the father in the show was whistling backstage, and we were all like, "What is wrong with you?" Okay. And that day, all of the lights stopped working. Like in the middle of the show. That's why I believe in this. The lights from the back of the house to the back of the stage, like in order, just turned off, and we couldn't get them back up. And like an understudy was on that day because our lead woman had gotten sick. So like you don't believe it until it happens to you.
No, listen. I mean,
It's true.
it's just, it feels like a lot of bad things happen in theaters, and it feels like during plays and stuff like that. So it feels like affixing whatever superstition onto that failing.
Yeah.
I think it'd be cooler if it's like, if you whistle, the lead's gonna crap their pants, like on the stage.
I'd be whistling all the time. That's funny. That's really funny, actually. No, but If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio follows a troupe of actors at this school, and they all hate each other, and a lot of bad things happen. But I think the book is really incredible because it blurs the line between actor and character. Like, it shows how you get so invested in a role to the point where the dialogue in the book starts to be written as script dialogue.
Gotcha.
Like, it's written in a very interesting format so that also kind of alludes to the line of actor, character, like what's real life being blurred. I love that book.
And in like a novel form.
In a novel form. Yeah. It's fantastic. If you like The Secret History by Donna Tartt, which I know is big for a lot of the girls right now, you will like If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio.
Did that book get you into acting?
No,
or were you
I
already into
actually
acting?
discovered it because of TikTok. I found it on TikTok. I found it online, and people were like, "Oh, this book is so good. It's so aesthetic." I had no idea it was about actors, and then I started reading it, and I was like, "This is fantastic."
That's pretty.
So it's my all-time favorite novel. I love it so much. I think it's great. You should read it.
It sounds really lit, as the kids say, right? Like it wouldn't be bussin', but it'd just be lit. I'm gonna stop now. My number
that was
one.
Actually I took like hit points. That was physically painful.
It's like -3.
My health bar like went
Whatever.
down.
You've got healing potions. My number one is a novel called Tristram Shandy by Lawrence Stern. It is one of the hardest novels to read because there's no actual. The narrative is about the author telling an autobiography of a fictional character named Tristram Shandy, who is in fact just himself. So he's fictionalizing his past in serialized versions, and there's a lot of he'll have like a lot of what do you call those typographic print gags, so this was like published in like the 1750s. So there's one part where a character named Yorick passes away. So Lawrence Stern says, "Alas, poor Yorick," and then on the next page, there's a black page to pay him tribute. Mm-hmm. So it's all about it makes fun of the novel, which I'll get into, is like an extremely unstable form, and it like celebrates its instability. It's it spawned, I think, things like Infinite Jest, which I think is a piece of crap because it's like that is just like.
You heard it here first.
It just feels like a way for dudes to just like, I don't know, just mansplain what they think it means because it's overly complicated for the sake of being complicated. It seems. Okay, I'll stop there. But it's considered by like each succeeding period, like the Victorians love it, the modernists love it. Like Virginia Woolf once claimed that it is the best novel written of all time. This is like even like postmodern when like stream of consciousness and stuff like that. So it's really cool. There's even one part where it has like he outlines his narrative in like a graph.
Huh.
So nerds like me want to get that tattooed on.
That gives me like House of Leaves. I've never read House of Leaves, but I've heard that it. That gives me a book I've never read, nor have I opened in my life. Well, because every time I pick it up at the Barnes & Noble, it's like $30, and I don't have $30 to spend on a book. But I've heard that it like plays with like different formats like in the physical pages, which I think could be theoretically cool. I don't know. I've never read it. But that seems similar.
Yeah.
Anyhow, that was our top 5 novels. Yay.
Yay.
Mine were cooler than his. Just want to put that on the record.
You did say in the top 5 and 4 that you thought my list was better than yours. I mean, you can go back to the tape, but I think it's all
No,
there.
we don't have to run it back. I think that my number 1 pick is objectively cooler.
So
start your lecture.
What is a novel? Like, what's a novel? Like, if I say to you, define a novel. Like, what are the features that makes a novel and not like a play?
A novel is, I guess, I don't know if this is necessarily true, but to me it's like a linear narrative, like a narrative. You're following someone's journey or story.
Right.
It's not like a play in that there's descriptors, like plays will have stage directions, but this, like, the writing is what sets the scene as opposed to visual elements.
So it focuses on the writing, but the linear part, like epics, like the Greek epics, like the new Nolan, because Nolan, like the Odyssey,
the white people Odyssey.
Yeah, it's really bad. Defy the gods, just not the white ones, but that's linear, right? I said that out loud. Was that my?
I just heard that. Okay.
That might need to be edited out, but that's
Clock
linear.
It.
That's linear, right?
Yeah.
And like a lot of like we were talking about Virginia Woolf, like To the Lighthouse. That's all stream of stream of consciousness. How about flashbacks?
Yeah, that's true. I guess what we've learned is that I don't know what a novel is.
Well, like how would you say? I mean, is it like the length? Like what?
Yeah. I'd have to say.
I mean, the point is, a novel is it's a bullshit genre title. It's a very unstable term that even scholars of the novel are not comfortable like pinning it down. The novel, if you look in the dictionary, is defined as an invented prose narrative that is usually long That's really helpful. And complex and deals especially with human experience through a connected sequence of events. Now that seems like it can qualify for most types of narrative. Narratives are just like stories, right? Henry James once once referred to novels as loose and baggy monsters because of how resistant novels were to being classified. Scholars, writers could not agree on what made a novel a novel. What about historical novels? What about science fiction? Even if we can talk about what that means today.
A loose and baggy monster is also what they called me in high school.
And today.
Easy.
Hey, it's okay, monster. All right. So the novel is said to have risen in the 18th century and in Britain. And annoyingly, Britain is the nexus of all things that happen, primarily because Britain are just jerks and they just conquered everything. But also just because Britain was at the forefront of all philosophical, technological feats. And also, they were one of the earliest cultures to think about literature with a capital L and what it means to be famous in terms of that literary style. So, the first three novels, quote unquote, or novelists, were Daniel Defoe, his novel Robinson Crusoe, which Mia referred to it was published in 1717. That was considered by many as the first English novel. Samuel Richardson's Pamela, 1741, is an epistolary. That is considered by many scholars as the first formal novel. So Robinson Crusoe was kind of an experimental novel that just barely made the cut. Pamela was the first official father, the daddy of, daddy of literature, of
Pamela
novels.
equals daddy. You should be taking notes.
It's pretty much, that's the plot of the novel. It's pretty gross. And then
Really?
It's called Pamela Virtue Rewarded. And the entire plot of it is how a servant, who's a female, who's like 16, fights off. I'm not even joking. And
what is wrong with British people?
oh, have you seen
Is
their
this
teeth?
British?
Yeah. Have you seen their teeth? Have you seen what they eat? I'm just saying.
That's true. I did go over to London. It was questionable.
And Henry Fielding's Tom Jones, not the singer, but Tom Jones, 1748. So Fielding, Richardson, and Defoe they're not considered like the founders, the first generation of novelists. They wrote their own work, kind of independent of one another, without too much of a through line. So the best way to kind of think about what a novel is think about what were some of the things that were going on in the 18th century that made the novel ripe for becoming a genre. So in the 18th century, there was a change. The 18th century, by the way, is one of the most eventful and an equally unstable period. Like tons of stuff happened, like the Great Fire, the London Plague, all those wars. So it's a good kind of watershed moment to consider how those factors can change a literary form. So in the 18th century, philosophy changed radically. Before it was more traditional, probably more of a religious bent, but there was a rise of empiricism/skepticism that focuses on the formulation of self through the ability to like touch things, like the particulars. Before that, it was just all Platonic ideals, like abstract theories. This was more interested in, being able to sense and touch and being able to like classify and divide into smaller and smaller things. So people like John Locke, Rene Descartes, you can think of him as the guy who coined the term cogito ergo sum, I think, therefore I am. So all that stuff.
Have you seen the meme that's like, it's two dudes and they're high? Sorry. It's two dudes and they're high. And this one guy goes, dude, I think I'm like real. And he's like, am I real? And the other guy goes, I think I am. And Rene Descartes opens the door and he goes, that's actually a pretty solid theory. And they both go, Rene Descartes. I just mansplained a meme to you, but it's very funny.
I feel like I deserve that. I feel like you are due like 50 years just to mansplain to me.
Yeah.
But why am I the anyway, fine, that's cool.
You're here.
Yeah. So philosophy, it changed, right? Skepticism, like particulars, the formation of self. Secular, that word, the movement away from the church to science. This also coincided with the Enlightenment. People were more and more interested about thinking outside of the Bible and thinking about like things, where is the sun are we heliocentric, or things of that nature. So that movement tended to create certain pockets for the novel to kind of emerge, or the formation to emerge. There was also the rise of the printing press, although the Gutenberg was established years and years ago. In the 17th century and the 18th century in particular, more and more British, politicians used pamphlets as a way to sway the public.
You might know the Gutenberg Bible because it was popularized by Spaceship Earth at Epcot's Disney World.
What?
There's a bit on the ride.
Oh, really? I've never been to...
Spaceship Earth, it's in the big Epcot ball.
I've never been to Epcot.
Oh, my God. In my opinion, it's the best Disney park. In the ride, you go, it takes you through the history of humanity.
Oh, wow.
And it shows you all the technological advancements. It was one of Walt Disney's biggest wants to make Epcot this self-sustainable functioning community, and he made the ride to kind of show advancements in technology. And there's a bit where it's the animatronics have not gotten better since he made the ride, but it's he's pounding papyrus, and then it immediately goes into the Gutenberg printing press. So some of you may know it from that.
Did you know what Walt Disney's famous last words before he died was?
Cut off my head and cryogenically freeze it.
No, that was Nixon. It was actually, what's the name of that actor who plays in the MCU? The guy who shoots bows and arrows.
Hawkeye?
Hawkeye. What's that guy's name?
Jeremy Renner?
For some reason, Walt Disney's famous last words were Jeremy Renner. And to this
You're
day,
lying.
No, Google it.
No,
Google it.
Seriously?
No.
You're lying.
And neither Jeremy Renner, to this day, does not know why he said that. So while she's looking,
I don't believe you.
Oh no, it's Kurt Russell. Sorry, Kurt Russell. But still, that's equally
Jeremy
weird.
Renner.
I know, but Kurt Russell's equally weird.
Who is Kurt Russell?
He was. Oh my God.
I don't know who Kurt Russell is. I'm gonna be honest, y'all. No, I do. What?
He's the guy that played the dad in the Guardians movie.
If Walt Disney's last words were Jeremy Renner,
okay, that's
there's.
But it still makes less sense. Kurt Russell doesn't make it any clearer.
Have you ever heard of the Jeremy Renner app?
No. The things I'm missing in your generation.
Oh my God.
The things I'm missing in your
Jeremy
generation.
Renner app. He made an app.
Just to be Jeremy Renner?
It was just
to track the Rennerness of the things that you do?
It was just about him. What he was doing.
That's the most Hollywood thing ever.
He made a Jeremy Renner app. So if that was Walt Disney's last words, it's not, but that would have been really funny.
That would have been okay. So, the Gutenberg, the rise of the printing press, printing costs got cheaper and cheaper, making publishing a lot easier. Before, back in the day in the 16th century, a lot of the poetry, a lot of the plays were commissioned by the noble, the kings and the queens. And they had to pay for the manuscript. They had to have scribes write it out, and it was you would get one manuscript, 7 published in a lifetime. So the printing press allowed more and more copies to be available to more and more kind of people. Related to that is also the rise of the middle class in this period. As we're getting away from feudal England and more towards what we consider modern, the economy, you can think of England's sort of toehold in the West Indies, the slave trade. Britain's not, terribly happy about that part of the history, but that's the way that, the non-royals could make money, right? They could rise up. So that meant a population of people with free time to read.
Yeah.
Right. Then there's
more education.
It's in a weird way, novels. The middle class literacy rates were kind of wonky. It wasn't always the case that middle class were literate, but the weird thing is when the novel came, that boosted literacy because it was such a popular form.
Because it was less educational.
Right, it was less.
So people who knew less about didn't own encyclopedias and weren't academics, they could enjoy just a cheeky, fun little story from time to time.
And the novels themselves, which I'll go into, were very, very particular. So they would take place in London, and they would reference like famous inns and taverns. So this is kind of like modern day TikTok, right? If you do it if you're making a TikTok video on like, I don't know, New York City, Times Square, that you know like each reference, you know the place.
Yeah.
So it gave some sort of makes the readers feel like they're part of the novel. There's a new concept of space, not like outer space, but like the way people thought about our existence within this planet Earth, what it means to be living in a city, what it means to be like a country. Like, so after the Great London Fire of 1666, London was just gutted. Like the maps just were completely erased. So they had to consider, how do we think of urban planning? How do we think of why is urban space important to us? So that kind of space made it important. So it was the kind of spaces they were thinking about were much more organized. They were borrowing from the philosophical tradition. They were kind of more particular in their design. They were more logical, more scientific in having like the center of the city, Guildhall, be like the seat of the English kingdom. And also think about the way. Now you might know this. Like how in what span of time do tragedies usually occur?
Seconds. I actually don't.
Seconds. How can a tragedy take a second?
Bombs.
Like bomb? What the? Like in a play. Like have you acted in a tragedy?
In a day. Okay. Like typical. No, but like.
Give me your theater heart. Just give it to me right now.
Typical tragedies,
right,
especially Shakespearean ones, were written to. It started with Aristotle, Socrates,
right.
The great, like, classic plays. You were probably going to recognize, like, Oedipus the King or something like that. But those typically occurred within a day. So you would get from the chorus, which was, like, your exposition. It was a troupe of actors who kind of spoke in unison. It was typically performed in song. You would get from them all the exposition you needed to know so that you could understand what occurs in the next day. So, like, Oedipus the King, spoilers, he has sex with his mom. Sorry, if you haven't read it, it's been out since the BCE, so I think we're past the point where you have any excuse for that. But Oedipus, like, his whole journey of learning that he had sex with his mom, and that's the reason why a plague has befallen his land, happens within a day. So, but your old Greek playwrights, your classics, where we get all of our information about theater, it all happens within a day. That's actually one of Aristotle's rules about play
the
writing.
unity of the time and place, right?
Yes, the unity of time and place. So it's like one setting, one day, the same characters. Like you can't. There's rules. All of his plays are written that way, and most of Socrates was as well. But he has a couple leeway moments because it's not the same guy.
So I mean, it seems like a weird rule, right? Like 24 hours. Like, why do you think?
Yeah, it's asinine. It's like, what's the point about that?
So like the thing about like the Greeks and the Romans, or the classics in general, like really influenced all of Western culture. So the reason Aristotle said 24 hours is he believed that all art should be representative, right? You shouldn't have to like have a tragedy take place over like 5 years. You just need a 24-hour representational like day, and then you can draw from that like just large generalizations and abstract concepts. Like such as don't sleep with your mom and don't kill your dad, right? So, and that was a general trend. And even in terms of literary trends, like the previous centuries, things like Shakespeare was very popular, Romeo and Juliet. They were typically characters. There were a lot of times you mentioned they were either plays based on history, right, or plays based on kind of stock characters, like a Falstaff, right, who was right, and then the jester role, and there's less of a kind of
King Henry IV, Part 1 is the best, not the best, but my favorite Shakespeare history. It's a huge example of stock characters.
Right.
Falstaff, big stock character. A lot of early Shakespeare works pull from like myths.
Right.
Even Greek myths. Like it's all inspired. It's this constant chain of like what inspires what. So 10 Things I Hate About You is based on Taming of the Shrew. Kind of a good play. But like that was kind of the same thing that was happening with Shakespeare. Not all of his stuff was original. Some of it was, but most drew from legends, myth, histories that he already knew, or it was just straight up British history.
I mean, but even like Romeo and Juliet, those characters were very clearly stock characters for the ultimate lover, right? And the ultimate like female lover.
Their flaws like made them the perfect storm
Right.
of young lovers.
And that's what makes Shakespeare so great, is because he's able to kind of, through language, through his particularity of language, like the terms he invented, he's allowed to, he shows you, he generalizes out to like larger abstract truths, like love, is flawed but worth it, right? Stuff like that. Things like allegories, which were like there's stories with symbolic characters like death, life, goodness, evil, that reveal general truths. Things like Paradise Lost, right?
Yes.
John Milton. Again, that's based on the Bible, right? It's based on the larger issue at stake. And as I mentioned, the epics, those are all about Greek history, collective history. So those were all the precursors. Those are all the kind of preconditions to make like the novel kind of like break into the literary sphere. So the one feature that the scholar Ian Watt, in his critical monograph called The Rise of the Novel, argues that something called formal realism is what ultimately separates the novel from these other genres. So formal realism is just like realism. It is, like as you talked about, like real characters. So there'll be like a guy named Tom Jones, not like, I don't know, like Richard II, or they won't be historical, and they will, and the formal realism reacts against this everything of the old guard. So they want to focus on the particular, not the general. They want to focus on how time is a subjective experience. They want to focus on how space is also a subjective experience, how it's important to think of where you are and how that defines your identity. So formal realism is composed of 5 major points. Number 1, the plot is not from myth, legend, or collective history. This is where probably the word novel became the word novel, because it's like new, right? Novel is also
okay, got it.
like even during the time when like 1740s, people weren't even calling it the novel. They were calling it fictional prose, comic, epic, whatever. They were not. These are terms that we imposed later on.
So novel was like a colloquially adapted
right.
term,
It was,
where it's like, oh, this is so
novel.
Yeah.
And so as in Robinson Crusoe, right? That's not a part of myth, legend. It's one dude who's an idiot who gets lost. He gets told not to like venture out and seek his fortune in the sea.
And then does that.
Does it, repents, and then lands back in England, goes again, repents again, and then lands in a desert island.
Man behavior.
And, yeah, totally. It's a dude story. It's like the first incel like biography. So he like it's kind of like a Reddit book, and lots of lists, lots of upvoting and downvoting. But
that's very true, actually.
But just think about that's not. I mean, it's a desert island. It does not exist. He's making it up, but it's real. Has to be particular.
Yeah.
If it's not real, if it's not particular, readers won't think it's realistic, right?
And it's so British. It's so that is, I feel, a point that's so important to bring up. Novels are so British. The rules they follow, the formation of society. Robinson Crusoe gets on this stranded island, and he's by himself, and he's still creating time. He's counting days. Objectively, none of that matters if you're not in a space that runs by those rules, but he has to create them or he's going to go insane, because that's where he landed. So I feel like that's kind of also what happens with the novel, is as it develops, it gets more the same and less experimental, because the British are obsessed with rules.
Right. I mean, and it's not Defoe trying to inscribe the novel with Britishness. It's just writing a character.
That's just who he is.
It's what would happen if in 1719 a British person got lost? He would just try to recreate his world in his own fashion, right? Mm-hmm. So it's all just. Yeah, it's about a whole new narrative that's creative, that is imaginative, but also imaginative that it's rooted in a particular. And it's in this sense that a lot of the early novels, Robinson Crusoe included, used that kind of found text cliche. That is I just found this journal. So in the preface to Robinson Crusoe, Defoe, as the editor, says, I just found Andrew Selkirk, some captain who he heard was stranded, whatever, and I'm just relaying these facts as they occurred.
That's actually fascinating because I'm going to tie it into Reddit really quick. There's a watch your facial expression. There's a Reddit page called r/no sleep. I spend a lot of time over there. It's scary stories.
Yeah.
But the whole premise of it is like you have to post on this page as though it's a real thing that happened to you, or you found this account, or you found this journal. So that's interesting how we've kind of gone full circle about it. Like that's the rule for that page. You have to post in that way.
It's the most Reddit thing ever to it's 2 centuries back to follow some other white dude.
And it's a lot of dudes up on Reddit. I'm not gonna lie to you.
But like Robinson Crusoe, like it's boring. It's a crap novel if you view it as like a finished product. But if you view it as like Defoe actually experimenting with, all those old concepts about philosophy, religion changing, right? And it's opened up. So he's saying, I can make my own story. And it doesn't have to be about it doesn't have to be about God. I mean, it's in there, but it can be about, so he's just like, he'll have like lists of things, page after page. And he didn't know what he was doing. He was just trying to figure out this seems realistic to me, or what I would do in that sense. So yeah, a lot of novels were kind of framed, had that kind of based on a true story type appeal. So again, for the realistic part. Number 2, so number 1 was the plot, not from myth, legend, collective history, so no King Arthur stuff. Though we will talk about how, people can break rules, obviously. Second is particular descriptions versus abstract ideas. Again, returning to Robinson Crusoe, comparing it to say, Paradise Lost and Hell. I don't have any sense of a topography of hell. It's just, I know a list of places like Babel, right, and things, but it's not.
There's Dante's Inferno levels.
There's
but
levels.
Even then, it's what's
is there a street
in
there?
the level? How do you? Yeah.
Can you jump between levels? Is there a cafe there? What's the deal, right?
Starbucks. They got locations everywhere. That was such a bad joke. Oh my God. Hey, cut that.
Oh man. I mean, it would be better if it was Moby Dick instead. But so particular descriptions versus abstract ideas. So it's moving away from the kind of set piece, like the idyllic shepherds, pastoral, or that kind of idyllic landscape, and into real London, where the real streets, real references to inns, statues, things that make people feel this is a place that I visited. Third is an awareness of time, memory, and time. This is, again, thinking about how the concept of time, temporality and time has changed. So this allows characters to grow, right? To develop over time. So Moll Flanders is a novel about this one woman who is down on her luck, goes to prostitution, repents, and then becomes a decent woman in the very end. But you can't have any of that repenting if there's no memory. Yeah. If there aren't passages about her going, why did I sleep with that guy? He was so ugly and didn't pay well at all.
We've all been there.
So awareness of time and memory. So that's a normal. That's not normal, but it's another important category: memory and time. So it's things like in Robinson Crusoe. He started keeping an almanac of his time. Things So for actual specific and physical place, like a localized topographical place. That's, again, has to do with philosophy, the change in space. And finally was the number 5, novel must require a full report in referential prose, which is this fancy way of just saying it's in straightforward English. It doesn't have to rhyme, so you're not beholden to those rhyme schemes.
No pentameter.
No
form, just prose.
Right. So,
which, for those of you playing at home who might not know what prose is, just words without format. So
right.
No stanzas.
No stanzas.
A la 9th grade English class.
Right.
No stanzas, no rhyming, no none of that.
Yeah, it just, prose is actually from the Latin prosis, which means straight and forward. So in some ways, there's something about prose that's actually temporal already. When you're writing simple English, right, you're only focusing on clarity, then your goal becomes getting to the end, right? Or if you're writing in couplets, that's not your purpose is to enclose an idea or to pair them up, right?
Yeah.
So it becomes a kind of a helpful kind of medium to kind of express realism. So those are the basic not tenets, but the basic the
Ingredients. If you
ingredients,
will.
right? That's a good way to put it. Ingredients of a novel. But these are things that can be disagreed upon and argued, and people do this all the time. But the next I want to get into the novel institution. So at this, the novel was not just one person, as I mentioned again. It wasn't just one or two people in a certain age just going, aha, eureka, I've invented a novel. The novel is better to be thought of as an event with all these preconditions that just emerged. So if you notice the big three, what's one thing that is similar about Samuel Richardson, Daniel Defoe, and Henry Fielding?
Boys.
Yeah,
They're
dudes.
all
They're all
boys.
white dudes.
White dudes.
Right. And so that's unfortunately one way in which we can track misogyny and in literature and literary studies, in fact, because these early novelists, once they realized they were doing something new, treated it like a club. They treated it like a company. Like, we're going to create a novel incorporated. They would vet people. It was a very closed circle. And so all these three novelists, all their novels were didactic. That is to say, mansplaining. They just were. And because the novel was a new form, right, and that was available to everybody, and so how do people typically respond to like new technologies or new forms? They freak out, right?
Poorly.
Yeah, they just like
Poorly.
video games. It's too real. People are going to stop copying that, right? Yeah. Same thing with a novel. It's too real. You can't just not rhyme and have not just have God and Satan in it and have someone named Ed and Charlie. Mm-hmm. People are going to think it's real. They're and especially they thought a lot of the novelists and a lot of the literati of the British Empire thought, well, of course the women, because they're dumb and they're softer minds, are more gullible. That's actually what they said.
This, to me, is the same phenomenon that happened whenever Blair Witch Project went into theaters. My parents saw it opening weekend. Randomly, and they were convinced it was real. Yeah. And people were sending letters to that family being like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. But it was fake. And nobody knew. So that's kind of the same thing that's happening. It's like when you see an AI video now and your grandma's
that's a great example, yeah.
And your grandma's like, oh my God, Elvis exploded. Girl, save it. Right. But it's the same thing that happens in that kind of form. It was just in a brand new version of writing, and people were taking it as fact because they didn't know any better,
and doing the absolute worst in stoking that concern just to make it a masculine endeavor. Yeah. So the novelist said that they would all follow a certain moral code. So Richardson's Pamela is called Virtue Rewarded. It's all about. It's intended. Richardson actually intended it to be read for middle class women, it's like a how-to guide for staving off. And rape was a big subject in most of Richardson's novels, and it was it was a lot of the early British novels by men fell into this kind of moral mansplaining, putting women in their place kind of narrative. Unfortunately. So people might ask, weren't there women writing novels? Yeah, there were. There are tons. Unfortunately, the women were writing more realistic novels about flirting, seduction, sex.
Yeah, that's the reason why Jane Austen's so great, is because it's not super forward, smutty kind of graphic that you see from a lot of men, where it's unrealistic. Hate to break the news to you, but it's more like Mr. Darcy holds her hand and then freaks out about it. Yeah. That's true. That's what we want to see. Yeah. Not the weird, thinly veiled fetish content that came from a lot of the early male novelists, like Dracula.
Yeah, that's
girl.
That's gross. That is
girl.
Yeah, but I mean, so So when I say the novel is not really useful as a term, they essentially can just say, well, seduction narratives narratives that have sex in it can't be novels. So it became just a catch-all term to exclude women. So there are authors
That's still happening.
Yeah, that's still happening.
Still, like, there's a lot of books that are being published right now from female writers that are for women, and they're the kind of, like, silly little romance books that follow tropes, like, there's only one bad, or he hates everybody but her,
right.
Or it, like, they follow that, and it's written for other women. And then people like to be like, that's not real reading.
Right.
You're not even really reading. It's still reading.
Like,
you're just like, men can write whatever they want.
Right.
And it's like, oh, that totally counts. But as soon as a woman does it.
Well, that's the subject of Northanger Abbey, right? Northanger Abbey is a novel about a Gothic novel, but then that Gothic novel is treated as a feminized thing. Mm-hmm. It's like a frantic thing. It's like a girly thing, right? And that sort of language was all throughout. So, like, after the novel industry started getting rolling, and Richardson published more and more books, people started like curating, anthologizing, right, themselves in a self-managed way. So, like Walter Scott, a famous Scottish novelist who kind of was known for his historical novels, like Waverley, right? And you might think about, isn't that weird? Didn't I just say that novels can't be based on history? So he kind of these tenets of formal realism are meant to be just recipes. You can change it, but ultimately, what is a novel is still up in the air. It's still it's that loose, baggy monster, right? It's that Mia of genres. So like the early novelists like Aphra Behn, Eliza Haywood, Delia Manley, they were called the fair triumvirate of wit in not a very positive light. And even like William Wordsworth, the next literary period was Romanticism, was return to poetry. And he referred to the novels as frantic novels, which kind of has that kind of, I don't know, almost emotional characteristic of being a woman. Mm-hmm. So it was a lot of that pushback. So that's a novel in a nutshell. It is a weird form that has historical precedence that we can account for its coming into being, but it's not in any way gospel. But it is a helpful place to kind of chart how we talk about novels. So like how does a graphic novel factor into that?
Yeah.
How does just like different genres today? So that's the novel in a nutshell.
In a sense, it's an outline.
Yeah.
To what can go inside of it. It's
right.
just a container word for like whatever you kind of want to put
right.
into it. And it can be adjusted and changed. But it did start, like most things, in Britain. Anyway, that's our first episode of Hodgepodge. I'm so excited we finally got it started. This is really hype. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to take a moment really quick to plug a few things. If you are anybody who watches theater or wants to audition for it, the Clarence Brown is always having auditions open for students. Sense and Sensibility is going to be up at the Clarence Brown starting mid to late September. You can catch me in it. I'm going to be in a costume, that's for sure. Do you have anything you'd like to?
Yeah. On August 27th, Wednesday, from 4 to 6 at HSS 64, there is going to be a Vol of Duty recruitment event. Vol of Duty is the English department's first gaming website dedicated for UT undergrads. The site is up and running at volofduty.com. So go there for more information and look out for flyers and events or messaging that you'll see throughout the semester. So.
All right. Well, we're going to play one final game where I'm going to make Dr. Hahn guess these novels based on a one-sentence description. A crippled sea captain refuses to learn from his mistakes.
Moby Dick?
Yeah. 1 point.
I haven't read it.
A high schooler. You haven't read it?
It's fucking long.
Me neither, girl.
It's long.
A high schooler goes to prom with an old man.
Twilight.
Yeah.
By the way, that is Twilight, the first book. I will prove it to you. It's a song. It's a novel about domestic abuse. Like, list number of times Edward Cullen is throwing Bella into a car, into a room, into a wall, into pregnancy. It's crazy.
We'll get into this at some point later because I do want to talk about how much I hate Twilight and the writing. I feel bad for Bella's dad, my boy Charlie. He's been put through a lot. I feel for him. Well, his daughter, Bella's dad, he's a cop. His daughter got kidnapped, forced into pregnancy, and then had to leave forever.
Also, the worst dad. He's a cop. How do you not keep track of your daughter? Like,
well,
you
I
don't
feel
notice?
bad for him.
You don't notice that your daughter suddenly starts sparkling? Like, at least, like, get her tested
But they
for
kept
drug
her
use.
away. And he was, like, looking for her.
He didn't do a very good job, did he? What the heck? He's a cop. He can just, like, beat all the vampires if he wants.
Our next novel. English schoolboys form rival gangs and beat each other
Potter.
up. Beat each other up. No, it's not Harry Potter.
Bunch of English boys get together. That sounds like every single like British novel that I've read.
Isn't it hard?
Like Tom Jones, like Joseph Andrews. Wait, so a bunch of British Jews beat each other up?
English schoolboys form rival gangs and beat each other up.
I don't know.
3, 2, 1. It's Lord of the Flies.
Oh.
This one, I actually really enjoyed this. It's a very, very short book. It's one of my faves. I read it in high school. A repressed woman dies of feminism.
What does that even mean? How does one die of feminism? Like, what is feminism?
If you know what the novel is, you know what I'm talking about.
Leaflet, she's just like, I can't take it. just combusts. Dies of feminism?
She dies of feminism.
Is it? It's got to be Virginia Woolf, like to a lighthouse. I don't know. To a lighthouse.
It is The Awakening. Have you ever read that?
By Virginia Woolf.
I don't actually remember who the author is.
She's an English major, by the way.
I studied. Yeah. Well, we don't have to talk about that.
I mean,
I'm an English major in a fun way.
Who
wrote The Awakening? Who wrote The Awakening?
This is, by the way, how Mia wrote most of her papers.
Kate Chopin. It's Chopin, I think.
You said it wrong. In a space of a theater, she's like someone named Kate is in the crapper pants.
Yeah.
You know, is there a Kate in the
we have several Kates in the Clarence Brown Theater.
There's going to be a ground floor. It's going to be a thing.
Anyway, it's a fantastic book. She dies of feminism, spoilers, because she walks herself into the ocean.
Sweet.
She commits suicide because she's so feminist and probably gay. That's another point of the book. But really great. You should read it. The lady does die of feminism. Anyway, that's all we have for today. Please catch us next time. We're going to be posting definitely to YouTube, and I'll try to get this up on audio platforms. Hopefully Spotify, probably Apple Podcasts, maybe SoundCloud even. Who knows? But you can catch us when I say you can catch us.
Wow. Intense.
And I said that because I don't actually know when we're going to be posting next. But we had so much fun hanging out with you. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Hanging out with us.
It's been a blast.
Word.
See you in the next one. Bye.
Hey. That was fun.
That was fun.